Today, we are going to talk about funding a whole life insurance policy with a lump sum of money. I remember years ago, I received a question from an individual who started a fairly large whole life insurance policy. And he asked the question, can I just write a check and make a one-time payment to my life insurance policy? He was interested in a whole life insurance policy that was paying a dividend rate of 7.1% at the time. So this was many years ago. And his belief was, if I just make a one-time payment, like if I give you $1 million, that $1 million should start earning that dividend rate right away, right? Wouldn't that give me the most money because it begins to compound immediately? The answer is no. It's not even close. What you'll find when it comes to funding a policy with a lump sum is that spreading the lump sum out over a number of years will produce the greatest overall results in terms of cash value and death benefit performance. Now, there's a number of things that result in this, such as the insurance company limits, how much money can go toward insurance premium, how much money can go toward PUAs, the paid up additions rider to maximize cash value. Then I also have the MEC limit, which is an IRS limit to be aware of. So today, we're going to really go through the details and walk through how to set up a policy for maximum cash value when working with a lump sum of money. So this is based on a recent case study. We've got a couple, the husband, age 58, and then the wife, age 57. So male, age 58, and female, age 57. The specific question was this: can I throw $1 million into a policy one time and be done with it? I'm attracted to a whole life insurance policy, specifically the cash value, because of the benefits. What are the core benefits of the cash value with a whole life insurance policy? There's 3 of them. There's a safe, liquid, and tax-free area to position money. Tax-free if we don't trigger a taxable event such as a MEC. But many times people are attracted to the cash value for those core benefits. So the name of the game is, how do I get money in there and then use that cash value? It's very common to see individuals want to fund a policy with a lump sum because I like the benefits of the cash value, but I don't like the idea of having to make payments forever. So how do I reap the benefits of a cash value product without being obligated to make premium payments for my whole life? Is that possible, even though the name of the product is whole life insurance? The answer is yes, it is possible, and it's very easy too. So what we're going to look at are a couple different scenarios. We are going to look at funding a policy with a one-time lump sum payment of $1 million. So what we'll look at, let's call this scenario A, is a whole life insurance policy with a payment of $1 million going in, and then 0 payments thereafter. So what does that look like from a performance standpoint, and what are some of the design limitations to be aware of there? Then scenario B, look at the same $1 million going into a policy, but broken up over 2 payments. 2 payments of $500,000. And then scenario C, we will look at 4 payments of $250,000 per year. Which one will produce the greatest overall results? So let's go through a couple things here. Limits. What are the limits? I want awareness on that, and I want to be able to maximize them. So when I look at policy design, where can your money go? If you're going to pay $1 million into a premium payment, that's what you're going to pay, where can it go? You can direct it toward the premium or toward your PUA, paid up additions rider. Now, all insurance companies have different limits. Having awareness on those limits is very beneficial, especially when looking at a lump sum scenario, or I should say any scenario where your goal is to maximize the cash value. What you will find with the major mutual companies, your 4 major mutual companies are Mass Mutual, Guardian, New York Life, and the Northwestern Mutual, is that in many cases you can drive the premium about as low as 10%. Sometimes it is lower. Some companies have about a 9% minimum. Some companies, we can drive the premium down to 2% in the first year only, where we can 50x the base premium. But generally speaking, the most aggressive design we can illustrate will be right around a 10% minimum premium. which allows us to allocate approximately 90% toward our paid up additions rider. So if I'm paying $1 million into a whole life insurance policy and I'm making a one-time payment, what would I have to have my premium set at? $1 million goes in. 10% of $1 million is how much? $100,000. And then $900,000 allocated toward my PUA rider. Those are the limits with the insurance company. The other limit to be aware of is this guy, MEC, which stands for Modified Endowment Contract. So again, when you look at a whole life insurance policy and focus on the cash value benefits, what are those core benefits? We mentioned them earlier. 1, 2, 3. 1, safe area to position money. 2, liquid area to position money. You can access your money anytime very easily. And 3, huge point of attraction right here, tax-free. However, I always like to emphasize this word, if we do things properly, because it's possible to mess that up. Specifically, one example here is triggering a modified endowment contract, a MEC. So what happens with a life insurance policy is if your policy becomes classified as a MEC, you can no longer access your cash value completely tax-free. Your gains are taxable as ordinary income. If you're under the age of 59 and a half, there's an additional 10% penalty tax on the gains. It messes it up. We don't want that to occur. How we prevent it? It's like this. Every policy has what is referred to as a MEC limit, which is exactly what it sounds like. It is a limit that determines the maximum dollar amount you can add into your policy every year. So why this is important and what it has to do with funding a policy with a lump sum is what you'll find that limit has a relationship to, a direct relationship to, is the total amount of life insurance on a policy. This is referred to as the death benefit. Your age and gender will also impact it, but the death benefit is the number one driver. So why is that important? Well, it's going to cost me a certain amount of life insurance in order to attain a certain MEC limit. So if I want to pay $1 million into the policy in the first year, I need a MEC limit of $1 million. Another name for the MEC limit, if you're taking notes, this part is very, very important here. Another name for the MEC limit is our 7-pay premium, or 7-pay test we'll often see here. Let's call it that. So what does that mean? 7-pay is referring to the first 7 years of a life insurance policy. So what does that have to do with? Well, so let's assume you want option A. You want to make a payment of $1 million into the policy and then be done with it, and you don't want it to become a modified endowment contract. Let's assume that requires a death benefit of $10 million. If the required death benefit is $10 million in order to attain a $1 million MEC limit, what that means is that the death benefit on your life insurance policy needs to stay at $10 million for the first 7 years. So for someone who says, I want to be able to make a one-time payment of $1 million, and then years 2 through 7, I don't want to pay anything into the policy, 0, the death benefit still needs to be at $10 million. What you'll also find is because of that, there's also still a premium due. Now, if a premium is due, do you have to pay it out of pocket? No. You can have the policy paid through a loan, which we don't want to do in this case, not when funding a policy with a lump sum. You can also have the policy paid through dividends and interest. This is typically the best strategy when looking at a lump sum funding scenario. So, years 2 through 7, I don't want to pay anything. I just want to write a check for $1 million and be done with it, but I'll still have a premium due. What's your premium? 10%, $100,000. It'll actually be a little bit higher than that when we look at the term insurance rider, a term insurance rider is a rider we can attach to a policy to raise our death benefit, which will raise our MEC limit at a low cost. My point is, it won't be just the $100,000 premium. It might be $120,000 or $130,000 total in expenses that are still due. So you're not paying this. Just to be clear here, this premium is due. You're not paying it, but it has to be supported from somewhere. So what's going to support it? Before we talked about the dividends and interest, paying your premium or covering the expenses. So we can elect for the dividends and interest on the policy to cover the premium. And then after they support that premium, everything left over, we will see kicked back into cash value. So here's the big thing. For 6 consecutive years, we're going to pay zero out of pocket and have the policy earnings cover a rather large premium. If we look at breaking the funding up, what happens? If we look at scenario B, 2 payments of $500,000, what happens here? Well, now your 7-pay test is only $500,000, your MEC limit. Your death benefit's cut in half. Your premium's cut in half. That's now $50,000. And you're covering it the first and second year. So now when the policy pays for itself, when you pay zero out of pocket, it's happening for 1 year less, and the expenses are half of what they were before. So you get the same $1 million into the policy that's compounding for you, and it only has to support a premium of 50% of what the $1 million example was. Very easy stuff to follow, right? Not at all, especially when we've got this whiteboard demonstration. So let's do this. Let's look at some illustrations here. What we'll look at first is a $1 million example. We'll look at option A, and then we will look at option C. So what we've got, what do you notice here? Your annual outlay, which is your actual out-of-pocket here, is how much? $1 million. 58-year-old male, at the end of the first year, his age is 59. So he pays $1 million. Here is his first year cash value, $872,000. That's a big hit right there out of the gates, isn't it? Here's why. Here's his premium. Look at that. 10%. But we also have a term insurance rider attached to this. There's 2 of them. There's the cost of the term right out of the gates. You can see, right, there's $130,000 approximately, and look at that, about $130,000 short. That's some of that premium does show up in cash value. There's a lot going on here, but the premium will take the biggest bite out of cash value initially. Term rider dollars do not show up in cash value, so the first year we take a hit. But look at what happens in year 2. This is what I want to emphasize here. Year 2. What do you pay into the policy? Your annual net outlay. 0. You pay nothing in forever. But in year 2, you pay nothing in. What happens to your value? It was $872, now it's $835. How about the next year? Goes down even more. Continues to decrease in value. Why is this happening? The reason why is because you have this premium and term rider cost that is due year in and year out. You're not paying it. We are relying on the policy to support that premium, and we're going backwards in value. The expenses are exceeding the gains. So how do we fix this? Well, how we fix it is by looking at the preferred option. Option C, just gave you the answer there. Here we go. Let's scroll up a little bit. Perfect. So what do you notice here? Annual net outlay. Same out of pocket to the individual. Same $1 million going into the policy. Same breakdown when we look at the premium up here. 10%. And if we scroll down to the bottom of this page, you'll see a MEC limit of just about $250,000, which means we are solving for the minimum death benefit needed to attain a $250,000 MEC limit. All right. But what's the big difference here? Well, the difference is this. Years 1, 2, 3, and 4, you are funding the policy. So here's your cash value. You're making these payments, so it's going to keep going up. And by the time when the time comes for it to grow on its own, when you pay 0, you still have expenses here. You've got the base premium and also the cost of the term rider. But what happens? Your value goes up. This represents the fact that the gains on the policy, the dividends and interest, are out illustrating the expenses. So I've already lifted off the runway. It's moving now. I don't have to worry about things going backwards or the plane crashing. Now, I should say, this plane can crash. I've got a 1-year term rider attached. Here we also executed a reduced paid up option, which eliminated the premium after year 7. The plane could crash if I neglect the policy altogether. So if I'm a pilot and I decide I'm not going to look anymore, I'm just going to go put it on autopilot and do something else, what's going to happen? The plane's going to crash. So if I ignore that term rider forever, if I don't remove the base premium, if I'm not responsible, let's put it that way, that's where we can run into an issue. And that's the case in the industry in general. But here, what do we have? Responsibility. We remove the term rider and such. Next page, here we go. Reduced paid up, eliminating the premium. Where's the premium column? It's gone. We killed it all together. So now your dividends and interest do not need to pay a premium for you. And there's the cash value along with the death benefit. Both continue to appreciate. So when funding a policy with a lump sum, let's illustrate this way. Spreading the lump sum payment out over a number of years, in most cases, will result in the greatest overall value. So here's a nice way to illustrate it. We've got options A, B, and C next to each other. Here's A on the left. There's the $1 million lump sum. Here in blue is your out-of-pocket. To the left, we see base plus term premium, $100,000. It's actually higher than this. It's the 130 if we go back to that illustration. But what do we notice? Values are going down until when? Until we remove that premium and term rider. Big death benefit drop, then it starts to go back up. But would you do this? Wait 14 years just to get your money back? No. Not if cash value is your goal. How about the second option? Same 1 million, but broken up over 2 years. So you cover this premium. You're paying it out of pocket. Now we've gotten off the runway. The dividends and interest are able to cover the premium, and we've got some left over as well. Positive in year 7 when we look at this. And then the last option, 1 million over 4 years, covering the expenses for 4 years. In 7 years, we don't pay the premium, but it is moving at this point in time. And for this individual at age 58, 4 years was the sweet spot. What's interesting about that is if you look at a 5-pay, 5 times 200K, same 1 million out of pocket, that'll actually produce lesser results than what we see with the 4-pay, which is interesting, isn't it? The reason why, granted we have lower expenses with that option, here we've gotten the money in faster, and the compounding in dividends and interest is exceeding the insurance expenses. So it's always finding that sweet spot to see what is the most efficient manner to fund this policy where the gains will exceed the expenses, especially when funding a policy with a lump sum. Because a lot of people like to fund policies with lump sums where they don't like the idea of making payments forever. They want to get money in, watch that cash value grow, have a death benefit in place, and then still have access to the cash value through loans and such as time passes. So to wrap this video up, we'll look at a quick scenario for the wife too. What we looked at there was 4 different options where a 3 or 4-pay made the most sense. So this one's pretty cool. 1, 2, 3, 4. Break-even point is when? year 4 on each of these. How about this guy? The one-time payment. Between 7 and 8. You'll notice something different here though. You notice what it is? What's your base premium on each of them? Here it's 25. 10% of the annual outlay of $250. How about the example to the left? Just about 10%. To the left of this, 10%. How about the $1 million example? It's a lot less than 10%, isn't it? Yeah, it is. That's 3%. 30,000 of $1 million. The base premium is 20,000. Term riders, there's 2 of them, comes out to another $10,000. All companies have different limits. First year, Guardian will allow a policyholder to pay 50x the base premium as a PUA payment. So what we did was lower the base premium as much as we can to stretch the limits of the policy to see if that produces greater results. Did it? Look at year 20, it's highlighted in orange each year. Which one gives you the most value? The 4-pay. Now when you look at the 4-pay and 3-pay, is there a big difference? No, there's $10,000 by year 20 and you've paid in $1 million. Which comes out to a small amount, $500 a year. Why I mention that is looking at the 3-pay compared to the 4-pay, there are times individuals will look at both and select the 3-pay because they're getting the money into the policy faster. Maybe they're more comfortable with that, or they view it as an opportunity cost, or perhaps they're considering paying the premium or a smaller dollar amount thereafter. That could be possible too. But anyway, this just demonstrates a different company for a female and funding a policy with a lump sum. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's a bit technical with the details and such. If you'd like a simple lump sum video, I would check out the above. But if you did enjoy this, let us know. Please leave a comment below. Reach out to us if you have any questions. And as always, I hope this helps. Thanks so much.